Thank you for watching my professional learning proposal. Here is the order of the presentation. In the United States, approximately 40% of teachers leave the classroom within their first 5 years of teaching. The retention of novice teachers, or teachers with 0 to 5 years of experience, is a pressing issue because their attrition correlates with student achievement and school budget. When teachers leave the profession, their roles are usually filled by another novice teacher, who tends to perform poorly in comparison to their veteran peers when examining student academic performance. Additionally, recruiting, hiring, and training a new teacher costs approximately $14,500 per leaver per school year. This study focuses primarily on novice teachers who are a part of a teacher development program, which, for the purpose of this study, will be referred to using the pseudonym United States Teacher Academy. USTA is a nonprofit organization that recruits high-performing college graduates to commit to teaching for 2 years in an urban school. According to USTA's internal records, by March of the 2018-2019 school year, 19.5% of the organization's 3,500 teachers were emergency released or resigned from the organization due to health reasons. As a means of increasing perseverance and retention in the classroom, the study proposes the implementation of Balint groups, a practice traditionally utilized to increase the retention of general practitioners. Balint groups were initiated in the United Kingdom post-World War II as a therapeutic tool in response to the burnout and compassion fatigue experienced by general patient doctors. Burnout is emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by sustained involvement in emotionally draining work. Compassion fatigue is the sudden onset of fatigue caused by working with individuals who experience stressful events combined with empathy for the individual's clients. In Balint groups, doctors meet in small groups of 8 to 12 to discuss patients who are causing reactions in their lives. The groups are traditionally facilitated by a psychoanalyst. Similar to teachers, general practitioners work in isolation. Thus, the Balint groups allows practitioners to have peer support in managing their own mental health. Here is my new problem of practice. Novice teachers face a challenge of having to meet high performance standards while simultaneously learning their roles. During their novice years, teachers are asked to assume all the responsibilities of the role while also learning the related expectations. Moreover, novice teachers are expected to perform instructional and managerial tasks at the level of their veteran peers without the benefits of the same amount of experience. This experience of feeling inadequate for the role or having low self-efficacy often leads to occupational stress, or the accumulation of work-related stressors or events within the workplace that are considered stressful. Occupational stress occurs when an individual perceives that the demands of a job outweighs the resources available. The more frequently an individual experiences feeling that the demands outweighs their abilities, the higher that individual's level of occupational stress. In order to increase the persistence of novice teachers and decrease their experience with occupational stress, teacher self-efficacy should be a primary focus. Self-efficacy is an individual's belief in their ability to perform a task proficiently. Additionally, self-efficacy increases a teacher's receptiveness to change. As teachers gain new knowledge and implement new practices successfully, their self-efficacy also increases. The professional development opportunities that are most likely to increase teacher self-efficacy are those situated in the sociocultural theory. Based on the sociocultural theory, learning takes place through the help of peers within the same field working toward a common goal. Professional development opportunities should provide teachers with the opportunity to ongoingly interact with small groups to practice inquiry and problem solving with others. The learning occurs as learners engage in the problem solving process. Additionally, the learning experience should require the learner to bring forth the knowledge acquired at home and professionally. The homeschool interaction helped the learner to understand their own identity within the professional context and develop the skill they need to perform their role. The problems or suggested areas of development should be proposed by the participants. In doing so, teachers develop a sense of ownership and autonomy, which will increase their self efficacy, thus increasing belief in their abilities to fulfill their role, decrease their experience with occupational stress, and lead to persistence in the classroom. Given the research on professional development and the theoretical framework for which this proposed professional development is based, Desimone and Garrett's teacher professional development practices serve as a conceptual framework for the development experience. Desimone and Garrett's propose 5 features that are necessary for effective professional development opportunities that align with the 7 standards presented in Learning Forward. The 5 features include content focus, active learning, coherence, sustained duration, and collective participation. Since the proposed professional development, Balint Groups, centers around a change in teachers' mindset about their self-efficacies and experience with occupational stress, this literature review focuses on 3 features of Desimone and Garrett's conceptual framework of teacher development: collective participation, sustained duration, and active learning. The social cultural theory is highly situated in learners developing new knowledge through learning communities. Likewise, current professional development standards situate learning communities as a critical component of changing teacher mindset and behaviors. The structure of Balint Groups are one in which participants work in learning communities. The Balint Groups work allows members to develop the interpersonal skills of trust. Smith, Basharav, Wessels, and Shurtak state that this skill can help leaders create open learning environments where individuals feel comfortable raising challenging information. Experiencing Balint Groups allows participants, with the support of their peers, to address the unrealistic expectations of their role and collectively problem solve and build balance and realistic sense of their work. Professional learning opportunities should be designed in a structure that allows for long-term development. Without the sustained duration of learning experience, it's impossible for teachers to achieve mastery and for the outcomes to be measured. The proposed professional development experience, Balint Groups, will allow participants to meet on a bi-weekly basis for the full school year to engage in collective learning. The consistencies of the meeting allows for group members to follow up with each other on commitments and learning outcomes ongoingly. Active learning is the process of learning through vicarious activities that require the learner to reflect and critically think about their content. These experiences could look like writing, discussion, analyzing student work, role play, and engaging in dilemma protocols rather than listening to a traditional lecture. In the Standards for Professional Development, the Learning Design Standard asserts that learners must have the opportunity to engage with problem solving, and discussing the new learning enables new mindsets and behaviors to form. The process of active learning allows teachers to have autonomy as they are leading all aspects of the learning experience from the design to the feedback process, ultimately putting the teacher in an active rather than passive role of guiding their development and learning. The process of active learning aligns with the social culture theory because it pushes learners to utilize their prior knowledge and their current experiences to problem solve and build new learning. Additionally, active learning provides the learner with autonomy, which is a critical component of increasing self-efficacy in educators. The proposed design of Balint Groups will allow participants to work in groups of their peers to safely reflect on their work experience. In these groups, participants have the autonomy to present their own case presentation. This could be a dilemma they are currently facing or a new strategy or skill they have learned about and want to share or implement. Even though a licensed clinician serves as the facilitator of the experience, each time the group meets, the topic of focus is determined by the members of the group rather than a situated learner. Collectively, the group engages in diverse reflection, activities that recognize the various learning needs of the group and ways in which individuals process information. Through the reflection process, participants utilize their collective prior experiences to engage with the content and develop new information that may be different than their prior knowledge. Here are the 4 research questions that this study intends to answer. This study will be a mixed method design that draws upon attitudinal surveys, interviews, and participant journals for evaluation. In order for the sample population to mirror that of the population of USTA, here's what the participants will ideally look like. The following measures and instrumentations will be used. The Maslach Burnout Inventory, the Dutch Educators Survey, will be used to measure the occupational stress experienced through the participants throughout the duration of the program. The Brief Resilience Scale will be used to measure an increase or decrease in resilience of the participants throughout the program. And the Teacher Self-Efficacy Scale will be used to measure changes in their self-efficacy. Process journals and reflections journals will be used to see any changes in the mindsets of participants throughout the program. One-on-one interviews will be used to measure participants' experience in the program in terms of their satisfaction or changes in their beliefs about their ability to retain or persist in their roles. And then participant satisfaction surveys will be obtained. These are already collected by the organization 3 times a year, and that data will be transferred to the researcher. For the procedures of the intervention, all participants will receive a pre-survey that measures their self-efficacy, occupational stress, resilience, and self-proclaimed retention intent, using the measures and instruments that were just listed. Based on this, participants will then be placed in groups of 4 to 5 with the addition of some alumni and a licensed clinician. Participants will set biweekly dates to meet with their groups and the potential topics of discussions that will be shared. In the small groups, they will have small group discussions on a biweekly basis, and following, they will complete reflection journals on a weekly basis to talk about any shifts in their mindsets or practices that are happening in their work. A mid-year survey will be administered to measure any changes in self-efficacy, occupational stress, resilience, or self-proclaimed retention. And then following that survey, individual interviews will be held with each of the participants. At the end of the school year, a survey will be given to measure self-efficacy, occupational stress, and resilience, and proclaims retention intents again. Data collection will look like survey collection, interviews, participant reflection journals, and participant satisfaction surveys. Learning Forward suggests that professional learning leaders should collect various forms of data that shows how the program is performing in alignment with its intended outcomes. To continually measure the effectiveness of the learning experience, the proposed professional development intends to utilize Guskey's 5 levels of professional development evaluation. The first level of evaluation is participant reaction. At this level, participants are asked how they liked or valued the experience. To measure this, participants will be provided with a survey about their experience. This is a part of USTA's survey to alumni and members that are given 3 times a year and measures their value of their experience with the organization as a whole. This survey will be utilized to also measure the experience of the Brilliant Group participants against their peers who did not participate in the development experience. The second level of evaluation is participant learning, which measures the new knowledge, skills, and mindsets that participants develop. To measure their change in mindset surrounding their self-efficacy and occupational stress, participants will take the teacher's self-efficacy scale, the brief resilience scale, and the Maslach burnout scales in the beginning, middle, and end of the experience to measure changes in their teacher self-efficacy, persistence, and occupational stress. The final 3 levels of evaluations are organizational support and change, participants' use of knowledge and skills, and student learning outcomes. To measure the organizational support and participants' use of knowledge, participants will keep a journal throughout the experience to engage in interviews that will then be coded by the researcher to determine trends. For the student learning outcome, USTA already collects student achievement data and classroom management data from all members of the organization. This data can be utilized to measure changes in student outcomes. The qualitative data analysis will look like descriptive statistics. That data will then be transferred to SPSS for analysis. The qualitative data analysis will be coded for emergent themes, and then deductive coding will be used. Here is the summary matrix. Thank you for watching the presentation.